everybody, it's Meg, and Happy New Year. So if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're not, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about a lens. This is the TT Artisans 27mm F2.8 Autofocus Pancake lens. Now this lens is not exclusive to the Fujifilm XF mount. It's actually also available on the Sony E mount as well as the Nikon Z mount. But I shoot Fujifilm primarily, so all of the shots and the video that you see in this video is shot on the Fujifilm XS20. Now the most appealing thing about this lens, at least initially, is probably its price point. You can get it in the US for $149, and in the Philippines you can get it for about 6,000 to 7,000 pesos, making it very affordable. But does it mean that it's worth buying? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So yeah, spoiler alert, yes. With all that being said, let's get started. So the overall design of the TT Artisans lens is almost identical to the XF lens, very similar in size and weight. The TT Artisans lens just being slightly heavier and a little taller, weighing 10 grams more than the XF Pancake, but generally it's just as lightweight and compact. Now the biggest difference is probably that there's a lock on the aperture ring on the XF lens, but personally I prefer the aperture ring on the Fujifilm because of the overall feel in terms of tactility and sound. It just feels a lot more satisfying. Yeah. Now the TT Artisans aperture ring sounds a little muted. I mean, that could be a good or a bad thing, but it's also a lot harder to access the grip for the aperture ring because you have to like hold on to the camera at a very specific position to be able to make adjustments, which is kind of annoying, but it isn't necessarily a deal breaker. Now in terms of build quality, the TT Artisans lens is made entirely out of metal, which makes it very durable, which again is great for its price point, because I think the cheapest Fujifilm lens that you can get is the XC35mm F2, and that lens is made almost entirely out of plastic. But yeah, the only thing that is plastic on this lens is the lens cap. It's small, it's flimsy, but it's fine, it does its job, so that's what matters. So now let's talk about image quality. So I was really impressed with the results that I got on this little lens. I am a big fan of the XF 27mm. That's a lens that I always brought with me. It's in my camera bag 90% of the time because it's so compact and lightweight, basically perfect for street photography. I'm also a big fan of the 27mm focal length because it's about 40 in full frame, and basically it's not wide where it's overwhelming to frame a shot, and it's not too constricting either, so again, perfect for street shots. But full disclosure, I don't really consider myself a photographer. I don't pixel peep or anything like that. I do enjoy taking photos though. You know, I like taking street shots, and of course when I travel, I want to capture wherever I am. Maybe call me a stills enthusiast. But yeah, anyway, just take that into consideration. Now, let's take a look at some shots that I took while I was in Bali and in Singapore. As an amateur stills enthusiast, I can easily say that I really enjoyed using this lens. I can't really say that the XF lens was so much better in terms of the shooting experience apart from the aperture ring, but I did hear some issues about vignetting, especially when you shoot at f2.8. I noticed that I shot f4 and up a lot, so it wasn't as apparent, but in my f2.8 shots, yeah, vignetting was evident, and this isn't usually something you see on the XF lens. So luckily, if you shoot in RAW, this is still something you can fix in post. But regardless, I think the photo still came out great. It was very sharp, good contrast, all shot with autofocus. That's also one thing I had a great experience with, which is fantastic because this is TT Artisan's very first autofocus lens. It also has some great bokeh, so you can get some good background separation with very interesting characteristics, as well as being really good at low light situations because of that f2.8 aperture. Now let's compare shots with the Fuji XF 27. Overall, in terms of sharpness, they were more or less the same. Of course, in some shots you can see that the XF does have a bit of a sharper image if you really are pixel peeping, but that's probably just because of the native glass. You know, it's always better to have native glass, but I think the TT Artisans really held up here. It did a really good job. Now, I was really impressed with the comparison results, even more so when I remember that this lens is like more than half of the Fuji. But yeah, it's not a perfect lens. You can really see the vignetting problem at f2.8. If you shoot a little higher, it's less noticeable, but it's still there. In this photo, I found some color fringing when I zoomed in on that top leaf. And this is another thing that isn't found on the XF lens, but you can also easily fix this in Lightroom. As for video, the 27mm focal length isn't something I would really consider ideal for shooting video, but if you need to, you can get some pretty good shots with this lens as well. So I'm not sure if you can tell by now, but I am a big fan of this lens, and it's no longer just because of the price point. But who is this lens for? I think it's somebody who wants to get into street photography because it's basically perfect for that. Its size, its focal range. Well, it's basically identical to the XF27, but yeah, it is affordable. Emphasis on affordable because the XF lens is $400. Another person who might want it is somebody who needs a daily driver. So it's so easy to slap this onto a smaller body like the XS10, the XS20, the XE4, or even a Sony camera like the ZV-E10 because it barely adds weight and is very capable in terms of optics. And the last one probably is somebody who wants to explore outside of their kit lens because nothing breathes life into an older camera like a brand new perspective, or in this case, a brand new focal length. So yeah. Overall, I think this is a fantastic lens for travel, for street, maybe even for portrait or product photography. It's so affordable and has such little compromise. Not to mention, it's almost impossible now to find the XF27 in stock. So yeah, as an amateur stills enthusiast, I recommend this to beginners, amateurs, and pros alike. Overall, just a great little lens for Fujifilm, Sony, or Nikon. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about this lens, please leave a comment down below and I will try my best to get to you. That is pretty much that. I'll see you in the next video.